Welcome to the Casting Across Fly Fishing Podcast. I'm Matthew of castingacross.com, where I explore the quarry and culture of fly fishing. This is episode 367, as the kids are saying, probably for the next only few days or so. And today we are talking gifts. So I guess you could say this is the unofficial 2025 gift guide of Casting Across. Why is it unofficial? Actually, you know what? Let's switch that up. This is official. It's official, but I'm not mentioning a lot of products. In fact, I might not even mention any products. I may give some examples, and I will mention a product at the end when I give a recommendation, something I'm looking forward to sharing. But my gift guide this year, and I've done this most years, usually in print, and then to a certain degree on the podcast, I'm talking about ways to think about giving gifts, or ways to think about asking for gifts. I know that it's hard to shop for the fly fisher who has everything. It's hard to ask for things as a fly fisher from family members and friends who aren't fly fishers. I mean, things are so incredibly specific and niche, particularly the more and more you fish. In one sense, it's easier because you can kind of find an outlet for anything you get. But in another sense, it's more difficult because you use a particular type of gear, you have a particular type of technique, you have a particular location that you like to go. And so it's not that somebody can just say, well, hey, I bought you some flies. I mean, they might work, but they also might not. So like that's not an easy thing. Or I got you, 5 spools of tippet. Okay, that's nice. It might not be the kind of tippet that you wanted to use, and it's, just a nice gesture. Or, I got you a fish painting, and it's of, a carp or something like that. Which, honestly, out of all the things I just mentioned, that might be the best gift that you could get. So today I'm talking about kind of ways to think about gift giving, ways to think about asking for gifts. And this is going to serve as the official fly fishing gift guide of Casting Across here in 2025. And so the first one is one that I talk about all the time. There's going to be 4 main categories. That's what I have in my notes, which is four words, really. 4 main categories. I may add one to it. And the first one is the one that, like I said, I've trumpeted year in and year out. And that is go fish. Okay? Go fish. Go fishing. Take someone fishing. So if you are giving someone a gift, one of the best things you can do, in my humble opinion, is say, I'm taking you fishing. Now, what does that look like? Well, Christmas morning, you put something under the tree. If you think that you can get away with just an envelope with a little note in it saying, I'm taking you fishing, once the ice thaws out and once there are we can legally fish here, then go for it. Or it can be something like wrap up an assortment of flies that you think will work in May in the place that you want to go and put that under the tree with a little note. Or buy them a guidebook of that state and put a bookmark or a little book dart in the chapters that talk about the area that you plan on taking them fishing. And say, hey, this is the stream that I plan on going to, but look to see if there's any streams or anything nearby that you'd be interested in, and then just read up on it. If someone is a new angler, then this is a great way to really give them something that is much more valuable than an extra piece of gear if they already have all of the bare essentials that they need. I think this is a wonderful gift because it does a couple of things. One, most of us have a lot of what we need. Or we could, if we took a little bit of time, acquire what we need. This kind of gift is one that if you were to buy it, you're paying a lot of money for a guide, and you might not be in a position to do that, or you might not even want to do that, especially if you're a new angler. You're just trying to figure things out. So this really does provide something very, very helpful, and also something that's pretty thoughtful. And at the end of the day, they might get some sort of little trinket that you give them on Christmas morning, but there is, something that has a greater sum than a couple of things to unwrap a couple months later, and then looking back on those memories. And it could even be that you say, I'm going to bankroll this. I'm going to pay for your license. I'm going to pay for your meals. I'm going to pay for the hotel. Or it could be, just like, we're going to go do this, and I'm going to kind of help make this happen. It's going to be a day trip. This is the kind of gift that a friend can give somebody, a son can give a father can give a son, a brother can give a brother, that sort of thing. It really is a nice universal gift that really transcends things. And especially if somebody has all the things, this is a way to say, hey, I'm gonna I'm going to facilitate you getting away. This is also a great thing to ask for, in my opinion. It's on the top of my wish list. Every year I'm asked by a couple people, parents and my wife, what do you want for Christmas? What do you want for your birthday? What do you want for Father's Day? And I always say I just want to go fishing. I just want to go fishing. I don't need another thing. And inevitably the things that I get are nice, but I also usually get just the yes, we want you to go fishing. I get to fish all the time, but there is something, I don't know. There's something special about saying, why don't you take these 2 days and go? Don't try to cram it in. Don't try to, don't feel like you have to get back super early. Don't feel like you have to do X, Y, and Z before you leave. And it's this is broaching into a different conversation really, but I think it's important as anglers that we don't put angling on a pedestal. We don't put fly fishing up at a position that it is higher and certainly detrimental than our family and other things that are much, much more important. And so you need to have that give and take. And I think this kind of gift, what it does do is it allows for maybe a little bit more flexibility on a particular trip or something like that. So I think you understand the sense of what I'm saying. So whether you are giving this or asking for this, I think this really is a great thing to add to maybe even the yearly rotation. You get it for somebody, they get it for you. Now you have 2 trips. And then it's so great that you do it for each other's birthdays. Now you get to go fly fishing 4 times. It's fantastic. So that's my first thing. Go fish. All right. Now the next 3 are kind of similar. They are gear related, but again, I'm not going to use specific names of brands and stuff like that. The first one though is to upgrade it. Okay. So what does this look like? You have a fishing buddy, or you are the angler yourself. And let's just use a net. I talked about nets in the podcast last week. And you have a net that is functional. It's nice. It works. You have no problem with it. But, you want to get somebody something nice. And so you get that really cool custom net. You get it with an inlay of, their initials, or an engraving or a wood burning of their initials, or an inlay of the state that they fish in, with some sort of wood. Again, it's not going to be cheap, but it's something they probably wouldn't buy themselves, and it really is a great gift, whether they take it on the water or they hang it up in their study. That's a great thing. A reel would be the same thing. If you have a friend who fishes that plastic or graphite reel, and they're a great angler and they like to fly fish, and because they're fishing for trout most of the time, that relatively inexpensive graphite or die cast reel works just fine. Well, go get them a nice machine reel. You don't for a trout reel, you don't have to spend $300. You can spend maybe $150. It's a lot of money in one sense, but it's also a nice little upgrade. And they might look at it and say, "Oh, this is too much." Say, "Yeah, but I want you to have it. It's nice. I want you to have it." And that's ultimately what a lot of gift giving is about. Fly boxes, same thing. You've got a bunch of fly boxes, a bunch of mishmash fly boxes. I bought you 4 of the same kind, so they kind of nest and they sit together. If you want to use them for, to replace what you always use, then now you have them. If you want to use them for something else, then now you have them for that. Just see what they have and ask for an upgrade. Or if you're asking for the gift, look at what you have. So, you know what? I am perfectly content with my nippers. They are glorified fingernail clippers on a zinger. But, people are asking me what I want. There's some cool $50 nippers that I would use. I'm sure they do a couple things better than my fingernail clippers. Throw that on the list. Yes, it's probably more than you'd spend and more than you'd want to spend, but it's a gift, and it's something that you can throw on your pack and really, really benefit from. And this can go down the line, and this, again, nippers would be a great example. You're upgrading from a $5 thing to a $30 thing. A fly rod, you could be upgrading from a $100 thing to a $500 thing. It just depends on where you stand in your budget and the budget of the gift givers that you are interacting with. But this is a great thing to upgrade something somebody has, whether it is to replace it or to augment the thing that it's an upgrade from. It's just a good option. And they may say, "Oh, this is extravagant and it's too much," especially if you buy them a new fly rod. But it's kind of what they use, kind of what they have, and then you're able to offer them something else. Thirdly, so take them fishing is the number 1. 2 is upgrade it. Thirdly is personalize it. I alluded to this earlier when I was talking about nets. My wife personalized a net for me. She's personalized a fly box for me. I've got some personalized kind of like fly fishing like stuff on the perimeter, or the auxiliary fly fishing things. So a great place to go is Etsy, right? Etsy is not just ladies' crafts. Okay, there's lots of great fly fishing stuff on there. In fact, a couple of the gifts I've sent people's way as they've asked me for things I'm interested in this year have been from Etsy, and you can find a lot of cool, stuff that you can take on the water, but a lot of cool stuff that's more like home decor and stuff to wear. So you can find a lot of hats that have got some cool angling patterns on them. And that, people are making just small batch stuff that they aren't one of these big brands. You can find fly boxes that you can get personalized. And they can everything from just your name, initials, a photograph. They can have laser etched on there. There are belt buckles. There are flasks. There are rocks glasses. You just go down the list and you can find something that has a fly on it, and you can personalize it, or something that is fly fishing related that you can personalize. So if there's something that I don't need a single fly fishing thing. Okay, great. Well, here is a beer stein with a brown trout on it. Fantastic. Here is a bookend that is a leaping bass. Awesome. Those things are out there. Here's a phone case with a picture of a fish you caught, or a picture of you and your son on a fishing trip. Those things are out there, and the price really, it's things can be really, really cheap. If it's just something with initials on it, you're talking, $5 or $7 or something like that, all the way up to really high end leather goods, and again, like etching on like a metal fly box that can be 25, 50, 75, $100. But these are great things because A, it's one of a kind, so you can't say I already have it. You might already have something like that, but you don't have that thing. And I'm looking around my office, and there's just a lot of stuff that, I could take it on the water, but it's just really nice. I just like having it sitting here and looking at it, and being a part of my office. And so the same thing is true for a lot of the stuff that you can find on Etsy, and I'm sure there's other small local businesses that you can visit their own websites. You can visit them in person, and you can find something similar. So that's a great option for, again, the angler who has it all. It could be a tie with a trout on it. I mean, everybody loves that. So get on there, just put in fly fishing gifts, and it just not gifts like animated pictures, gifts with a T. And it's remarkable, the things that you will find. And it's really high-end stuff. You can find a lot of it's made in the USA, or they buy it from a wholesaler, and then they augment it with their own arts and crafts skills. So definitely something to check out, definitely something to look into, both for yourself, as people are asking you what you want, and as you're trying to find something for the person who has everything. All right. And again, everything there runs the gamut from like stuff that you're just like, oh, this is nice, I'm used for a while, and it's done, to genuine like heirloom quality things, things, made out of pewter with gold inlays and whatnot. I mean, it's all there. I'm not sure if that's Etsy's motto or not, but it's all there. All right. So take them fishing, upgrade it, personalize it, and then lastly, memorialize it. Now, I mentioned a few things in the last little chunk and personalize it that kind of fall in this category. But the example would be, there's some folks out there that will take a picture from a fishing trip, and they will laser print that fishing trip picture on Flybox. Now that's there forever, and you can have that and carry it with you. But it can be other things too. It can be as extravagant as getting that picture of that fish that your loved one caught, and calling up somebody who does reproductions in fiberglass or in some other medium, and having them create that. There's various levels of cost associated with this, and quality and aesthetic and things like that. You can have a print done. There's folks that will draw or paint that fish, either that fish by itself, taking some liberties by posing it and whatnot, or your loved one holding that fish. You can get a really nice print of it and buy a frame. I mean, a frame is not inexpensive. So yeah, you can go get a really good print of a high quality photograph for less than $5 for something that's 8.5 by 11. That's probably not the right dimensions for a photograph, but a good frame, something that you'd want to put up in your house or on your mantle or in your office or whatever like that. that's going to run you a good amount of money. And then you can like do double duty. You have the picture, you get that printed on quality paper that's going to be, fade and wear resistant. And then you get it matted and get it in a frame. And maybe even on that mat, you have some sort of label, whether it's just simply the date, the person's name, the location, or you come up with, the big one, or, dad's big catch, or whatever it is like that. You throw it on there. And that's the kind of thing where it might seem simple, but it will have a big impact. It will, really, really be a great way to memorialize a special moment, and it shows them that that you care, that you were thinking about them, and as long as it's not them like falling off the boat or bending over to release a fish with their crack hanging out. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're into. I mean, if it's good enough for a bathroom at Bass Pro Shop, it should be good enough for anybody on your gift list. But that's just an example of something you can do. So yeah, it can be as inexpensive as just taking something from a moment and getting it personalized on something. It could be even if they had an awesome trip up to Pyramid Lake, for example. All right, what do? You get a hold of a Pyramid Fly Company and get a hat and say, hey, here's you went there and you fished. Here's something that you can remember this by. They went down to the Great Smoky Mountain National Park to go on a fishing trip. You get online and you find something from there, either from a fly shop or from the area, and here's a hoodie because you went down there and fished. But here's a souvenir to remember your trip by. Just little things like that to memorialize and help them remember a fun trip, I think, is a great way to give a gift. And the same thing for, could you ask for something like that? Yeah. Asking for a reproduction, like of a fiberglass fish, it's not a small ask, but again, if you have everything and, go for it. It could be a big gift, but it's something that you probably wouldn't buy yourself, and something that would definitely be worth hanging on to. So those are some ideas. Take them fishing, upgrade something, personalize something, memorialize something, and then of course, I here's again the last category, number 5, is if there is a need, if there is a hole. You go fishing with your buddy, and they're always asking you for tippet. Buy them 0x, 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, 6x. Now they've got all their tippet. You take your kid fishing and they're always asking for a net. Buy them a net. You take someone fishing and they are always asking for whatever. Or they've been fishing with the $20 combo from Walmart. Just say, hey, I'm going to upgrade you to a combo that's $100, but it's going to do a lot more for you. Just see what they need and ask for it. The same thing for you. Again, I don't want to assume that everyone has the resources to buy whatever they want whenever they want. So there may very well be holes in your arsenal that can be filled in almost utilitarian fashion at the holidays. But also it is something you can say, okay, I was able to get this and I appreciate it, and thought went into it. So those are 5 ways to think about gift giving for the fly fisher, which may be somebody else or maybe yourself. So, hey, send this podcast to somebody who needs help shopping for you. Send this podcast to somebody that you think might need it. And while they're over there, they can leave the gift you can give me is to leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. I say that very quickly at the end of every podcast, but I figure it was worth throwing in here a little bit more slowly. All right, this week on Casting Across, the first article is called The Pen and the Rod. The Pen and the Rod, which I don't know if that is a website somewhere or a blog or something, but that's a pretty good name if I do say so myself. But in this article, this Monday, I talk about some of the points of continuity in my experience with trying to get better at writing and be consistent in my writing, with trying to get better at fly fishing and being consistent in fly fishing. So I talk about how many points? 4 ways. 4 ways where I've seen continuity in 10 years of doing my best to be consistent in my fly fishing writing. Wednesday's article was another video. We're up to quite a few, almost 40, I think. I don't know. This is called Fly Fishing in the Dark, and it is L. James Bashline's Night Fishing for Trout. And this book is a real looker. It is a very mod 1973 cover in just a fantastic font and colors and a drawing of a big hungry trout at nighttime. And there's a lot of charm in the book as far as the illustrations go, but the content is obviously what you're getting this for. So You can find this book in an updated edition from, I believe, the late 80s, and that's great because there's actually more information in it. But this is a great introduction to night fishing for trout, and it's not talking about the primary ways a lot of people fish for trout today at nighttime. I would say the two ways that get the most publicity for fly fishing for trout at night today are mousing and big streamers. They work. I'm not doubting that, but you are kind of limiting yourself to the biggest toad in the puddle when you are mousing and throwing the 6-inch articulated streamer. And for a lot of folks, that might even just be a non-starter for where they fish. But night fishing for trout talks about fly fishing for trout on normal freestone streams where you may, get into that 20-inch fish. And I've caught some really, really, really big fish on freestone streams and on spring creeks at night on dry flies. And that's one of the things that he talks about here. And how do you do that? Why do you do that? What are some things to think about? And the format of the book is fantastic, which is really that cool subgenre where he's talking about his experiences and lessons that he has learned. So definitely check out that video. If you have yet to subscribe to the Casting Across Fly Fishing YouTube channel, then please do that. It would be a good thing for you to do. This week's recommendation on the podcast is a book called Trout. Now, this is a book that I've seen. I remember it came out in 22, but for some reason, it was only earlier this year that I really remember picking it up and looking at it. And it's by Brian Grossenbacher. And he's a photographer. And head over to Brian's website. My goodness, it's spectacular. And the words in this visual treat are by none other than Tom Rosenbauer. And it is a really great book that transcends the coffee table genre. It's a big book. It is, big format, almost, it's over a foot long and, almost a foot tall. And it's just big, beautiful photographs of your and my favorite subject matter, which is trout. So, definitely check this one out. I'll put a link for where you can grab it. It's from Rizzoli Press, and the link will be in the show notes from this podcast page over at castingacross.com. Thanks for listening to the Casting Across Fly Fishing Podcast. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app and rate the podcast in Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Then head over to castingacross.com, where there's 3 posts a week on the people, places, and things that go into the pursuit of fish.